1.3. 1.3.1. Monks, I know not of any other single thing so uncontrollable as the uncultivated mind. The uncultivated mind is indeed a thing uncontrollable. 1.3.2. Monks, I know not of any other single thing so controllable as the cultivated mind. The cultivated mind is indeed a controllable thing. I stop here for a while to comment. So, if the mind is not cultivated, it is very difficult to control it. In fact, when we practice meditation, especially samatha meditation, we are exercising control over the mind every moment. When the mind tries to run away, we bring it back to one single object. It runs away again because that is the tendency of the mind, to run, or to always keep on running. And we bring it back to one object. So every moment we are exercising control over the mind. And if we keep on doing that, then when samadhi arises, then we are able to... samadhi is the result of controlling the mind. So when we have samadhi, then the mind is controlled already. And that's why the Buddha says, there's no other single thing so controllable as the cultivated mind. Now 1.3.3 and 1.3.4. Monks, I know not of any other single thing so conducive to great loss as the uncultivated mind. The uncultivated mind indeed conduces to great loss. Monks, I know not of any other single thing so conducive to great profit as the cultivated mind. The cultivated mind indeed conduces to great profit. Just now I forgot to mention, when we cultivate the mind, there are two aspects of it. One is cultivation of the mind. Sometimes the word used is bhavana. Bhavana is to develop, to cultivate the mind. Development of the mind, or cultivation of the mind. One aspect of it, as I mentioned just now, is samatha, to train the mind, to control the mind. The other aspect is vipassana. Vipassana is to use that controlled mind to contemplate and to get wisdom. So samatha and vipassana are both necessary. Now, if our mind is uncultivated, here the Buddha says it conduces to great loss. Why? Because if we have an uncultivated mind, the hindrances are very strong. Sensual desire is very strong. Ill will, sloth and torpor, restlessness and worry and doubt. And it's obvious if somebody is troubled by sensual desire, that he'll become very restless, trying to satisfy his sensual desire. A lot of his energy and time, etc., and money, everything is wasted there. Or if he has a lot of ill will, then he won't be successful in whatever he does. If he's a businessman, nobody likes to do business with him. Or whatever he does. Anybody with anger, nobody likes. Everybody tries to avoid somebody with anger, etc. And then, because your mind is not clear, not cultivated, you might make wrong decisions. You cannot see things, you cannot see your problem very clearly. And you are like in a daze. So that's why the Buddha says conduces to great loss. Whereas cultivated mind conduces to great profit. Cultivated mind is a person with a lot of wisdom. And there's some other sutta where the Buddha says, what is the condition for somebody to have great wisdom, to have a lot of insight? The Buddha said the best condition is a mind that is bright and clear. A mind that is bright and clear is a mind that has developed the samadhi, the one-pointedness of mind taught by the Buddha, because the word is jhana. Jhana literally means incandescence, brightness. So when a person develops the jhanas, the mind becomes bright. And that, the Buddha says, is the best condition for insight. That's why you have a great profit from it. Now 1.3.9 and 1.3.10. Monks, I know not of any other single thing that brings such suffering as the mind that is uncultivated, not made much of. The mind that is uncultivated, not made much of, indeed brings great suffering. Monks, I know not of any other single thing that brings such joy as the mind that is cultivated, made much of. The mind that is cultivated, made much of, indeed brings great joy. So you see, somebody who has a lot of suffering, usually you find that person, he has not cultivated his mind. Now suffering, there are two types of suffering. One is mental suffering, one is physical suffering. Mental suffering is mostly man-made. And the Buddha says the difference between an Arya and a Putujana, an ordinary person, is that an Arya has no mental suffering. He accepts things as they come. He has no mental suffering. He does not proliferate whatever problems he has. He does not think about them and make them multiply in his mind. And so he has no mental suffering. So if we develop our mind, cultivate our mind, we don't have that kind of suffering, that unnecessary suffering. But there are some types of physical suffering that we cannot run away from. For example, getting old, getting sick and dying. That we cannot run away from. But mental suffering, most of it we can avoid if we cultivate our mind. One point 1.5.5 Suppose, monks, a pool of water, turbid, stirred up, muddied. Then a man who has eyes to see stands upon the bank. He could not see the oysters and the shells, the pebbles and the gravel as they lie, or the shoals of fish that dart about. Why not? Because of the turbid state of the water. Just so it is impossible for that monk of whom I speak to understand with his turbid mind either his own profit or that of others. Impossible for him to understand both his own profit and that of others, or to realize states surpassing those of ordinary men, the excellence of truly Aryan knowledge and insight. What is the cause of that? It is the turbid nature of his mind, monks. Then 1.5.6 But suppose, monks, a pool of water, pellucid, tranquil and unstirred. Then a man who has eyes to see while standing on the bank could see the oysters and the shells, the pebbles and the gravel as they lie, and the shoals of fish that dart about. Why so? Because of the untroubled nature of the water, monks. Just so it is possible for that monk of whom I speak with his untroubled mind to understand either his own profit or that of others, both his own profit and that of others. It is possible for him to realize states surpassing those of ordinary men, the excellence of truly Aryan knowledge and insight. What is the cause of that? The untroubled nature of his mind, monks. Okay, now I have to comment on this. This troubled state of the mind and the untroubled state of the mind refers to the 5 hindrances. Just now we heard that the uncultivated mind is the same as this untroubled. This uncultivated mind is the troubled mind. Now, in some other sutta, the Buddha gave a very clear simile for the 5 hindrances. The Buddha said, suppose a man were to try to look for his reflection in water, and he tries to see his reflection in a bowl of water. And then the Buddha says, a person with strong sensual desire is like a person trying to look for his reflection in a bowl of water which has into which a lot of dye has been put, dye, the dyes, different colors, dark color of dye. And then because of the different dyes, that water is no more clear. So that when he tries to look for his reflection to see his own face, he cannot see. And then the simile for the second hindrance, which is ill will, the Buddha says, a person trying to look for his reflection in a bowl of water which is boiling. When the water is boiling, it is so troubled. You look, you're going to see your own reflection. The third one is sloth and torpor. And then the sloth and torpor, the simile for it is like a bowl of water which has a lot of weeds, a lot of water plants floating on the surface, etc. And because it is covered by these plants, when you try to look for your reflection, you can't see it. That is sloth and torpor. The fourth one is restlessness and worry. Buddha said a person trying to look for his reflection and the pool of water is stirred by the winds. The winds are causing ripples, waves on the surface. So when you try to look for your reflection, you cannot see. That is restlessness and worry. And then doubt. The simile for doubt is like this water is muddy. And then you go and stir the mud. And then you churn up the mud. And then this bowl of water you go and put in a dark place. In a dark place, you're trying to look for your reflection. Definitely you can't see. So that is the simile for the doubt, the last hindrance. So here the Buddha is talking about the turbid state of water is the troubled mind. Troubled mind is that mind which is full of the hindrances. That's why you cannot see into water clearly. That's why the Buddha said the water that is clear and still, that is the simile for a cultivated mind, a very tranquil mind, a mind with strong samadhi, clear and bright and still. Then 1.5.8 Monks, I know not of any other single thing so quick to change as the mind, in so much that it is no easy thing to illustrate how quick to change it is. That's all this sutta says. And this sutta is telling us that the mind changes extremely fast. And because it changes extremely fast, if we know, we should use it to good advantage. For example, if we have a good resolve, a good intention that comes up. For example, some people think, maybe I should become a monk. So because there's a good intention, you should quickly act. If you don't act slowly, your mind will change. The mind is fickle. So when there's a good intention, there's a good resolve, we are afraid that it might change, we quickly act. On the other hand, if you have a bad intention or bad resolve, then you should not act on it. For example, anger arises, and then you think you want to, if you react with a lot of anger, definitely you're going to do something which is unwholesome, which is not wise, because your state of mind is troubled. And once you know that, then instead of acting, you don't do anything. Just wait for the anger to subside. And because the mind is quick to change, it will subside. If you just keep on waiting, just do nothing, just resolve not to act on it. So that is using this with wisdom, the fact that the mind can change very fast.